Hi everyone, welcome to the Green Screen. My name is Monika Gabriel and I serve in the Salida Middle Schools. For today's episode, we're going to be traveling across the country to a city called Boston, Massachusetts to learn some cool, sometimes spooky, and important history facts about our country. Did you know that Massachusetts is named after the indigenous population called the Massachusetts that lived in this area long before the colonists ever came from England? Let's go learn some more facts. Here, we're at Boston Harbor, where in the middle of a cold December night, a certain tea party of sorts was had. About 250 years ago, colonists who were living in America were still considered part of the country England. They were upset because they were being taxed or required to pay a certain amount of money to England without being represented in the government and having any say about it. They called it taxation without representation. So, in the middle of the night on December 16th, 1773, a group of American colonists snuck aboard British ships and dumped 342 chests of tea right into this harbor. Can you guess how much that tea would have weighed? 90,000 pounds. It would have cost almost $1 million today. The Brits were not happy, and that's when trouble really started brewing. And that's the tea on that. Welcome to the Old North Church. After the Boston Tea Party, tensions continued to grow between the American colonists and England. One English general by the name of Thomas Gage decided that he wanted to send troops inland in Massachusetts to steal guns and ammunition that the colonists had been stockpiling. When colonists who were spies heard of this plan, they called a man by the name of Paul Revere for help. Paul Revere devised a plan where he said if the British were going to be leaving Boston by land, he would hang one lantern in the window of the steeple of the Old North Church to warn the military of the colonists. And if they left by the river, he would hang two lanterns. One if by land, two if by sea. Which way do you think they went? By sea, by the river. So two lanterns hung in the window of that steeple. When the British arrived, they were totally caught off guard by the prepared American colonist army, and thus began the Revolutionary War. Let's go see one of the battlefields, but be careful. Some say that it's haunted. Welcome to Bunker Hill, the site of one of the most deadly battles in all of the American Revolution. A few months after Paul Revere's ride, colonial forces learned that British soldiers were going to sneak onto the hills surrounding Boston in order to try to control the city. When colonial forces heard that this was going to happen, they decided to sneak onto the hills in order to protect them. At sunrise, the British realized what had happened and began to fight. More than 1,000 people died in the battle, and they built this monument in order to commemorate the lives lost. With that many people who died, it's no wonder that people who live in this neighborhood report hearing ghostly echoes of gunfire at sunrise and cool breezes on otherwise hot summer nights. Yikes, let's get out of here. This is the last stop on our tour, the USS Constitution, or as you may have heard her called, Old Ironsides. She got that name by defeating British warships in the War of 1812, another war with England that happened after the Revolutionary War. People thought it was such a strong ship that her wood sides were practically made of iron. The USS Constitution is the oldest commissioned naval vessel that's still afloat. Can you guess how old it is? 223 years old. Now that's old. Nowadays, Old Ironsides doesn't fight in any battles, but enjoys her retirement here in Charlestown, where families and kiddos like you hop on board her decks to tour. Maybe one day you'll be able to check it out. That's all for me on the Green Screen today. See you later. Stay safe.